Hello friends, for today's video I wanted to go through an overview of what I plan to get around to within the second quarter of the year. Because this is an overview style video and it is going to encompass a lot of different stories from a lot of different mediums, I am going to have this broken down and there will be timestamps in case there's only certain things that you're interested in. I'm going to start with the video games that I'm hoping to play, then we'll segue into manga and a book I'm planning to read and review, then we'll get into the anime and shows and movies that I'm hoping to watch. And that's where the bulk of what I'm planning to get around to is. But we'll go ahead and start with the video games. As stated, there will be timestamps in case you'd like to skip ahead. Jumping into it though, within the month of April, I believe this is the release date for Expedition 33. This is a video game I have had on my radar ever since I saw it announced, and it is almost upon us, which I'm really excited about. It seems like it's going to be something very new, very different, and also, I will admit that I am a little bit of a sucker for Ben Starr's voice acting. I think he absolutely does a fantastic job bringing characters to life, so I'm really interested to see his performance in this, but also just in general. The game looks incredible. I don't exactly know for sure what it reminds me of because it looks like a mix of so many different things, but that actually, if anything, makes me even more excited because it doesn't feel like it's another Souls game, or it doesn't feel like it's a Final Fantasy-like game. It doesn't feel like it's essentially some version of Zelda. It feels like it has the potential to be its own thing, something new, and I always get so excited for games that seem to give that impression, so fingers crossed that this is as good as it looks. I am likely going to talk about it at some point. I don't know if I'll do a dedicated review for it. For the first quarter, I did a quarterly wrap-up, and that's where I talked about the video games I played, so at the very least, I'll do something like that. If I feel really moved to do something beyond that, then I will, but at the very least, I am definitely planning to get around to this game. Also, Elden Ring Night Rain comes out within this next quarter. I can't wait. I have no idea what I'm getting myself into, and that's the thing I feel is echoed by a lot of other people. I don't know if a lot of us know what we're getting ourselves into with this, but I am so excited for it nonetheless. I cannot wait. I'm going to dive into it and be terrible at it and die all the time, and I'm obviously going to be playing with my husband and my friends, and I am probably going to be yelling at them a lot, insisting that they're doing something wrong, and no, follow me, we need to go this way, and I can't wait. I can't wait for the chaos that's about to happen with Elden Ring Night Rain. Fingers crossed that it's fun and that it's good. I'm not expecting it to be a new Elden Ring by any means. I just think it's going to be a new version of multiplayer, which I'm very much looking forward to because I'm not going to lie, currently the two games that I play multiplayer the most often are still currently Elden Ring and Ghost of Tsushima Legends mode specifically. Those are the two I play the most often, so it'd be nice if we could add something into that. That's it for the video games. Now segueing into the books and manga, I do plan to read and review the Ambessa novel, and even though my main channel is dedicated to books, because of this one's connection to Arcane, which I primarily talk about here, I want the review to be here as well. I have done a review for Ruination. That was before this channel existed. So if you're interested in hearing about Ruination, then I'll have that linked, and I'll have my Arcane playlist linked in general, but I do very much want to get around to this one and review it so you have a heads up about what the details are surrounding this book, the quality, the writing, the plot, all of those sorts of things. As for the manga that I plan to read, the two ones that I'm focusing on the most are going to be continuing Magus at the Library because I absolutely loved that when I started it, and then Frieren Beyond Journey's End, as it's going to be a little bit, it would seem, before we get another season, and I'd like to get caught up with the story up through this point. Now jumping into the anime movies and shows that I'm planning to watch. Most of what I'm planning to watch is animated in some form. There is something though that is not, that I already have plans with some of my friends and my husband to do a discussion for this, and that would be Daredevil Born Again. I am somebody who liked the Daredevil Netflix show. I didn't love the hand, that whole part of it, that whole plot line. I didn't really love how they executed that. I preferred more of the gritty feeling that they established within season 1 and season 3. And I did really enjoy that. And then I have not really paid much attention to whatever they've been doing over on Disney Plus for a while because I'm like, I mean, it was nice to have something different. Not that it makes it better. We all have our different tastes, but the Marvel Cinematic Universe in a lot of ways is fun and campy and exciting and action-packed. And this one was a little bit grittier and darker and heavier. And I liked that we had that option, but it kind of felt like or I, at the very least, was worried for a while they were going to kind of drag all of the grittier things into being campy as well. And I was like, oh, I like that we have both that exist for different moods or for different people. And then everything I've seen of it thus far, I've been really excited and hopeful. I think a lot of the actors really represent their characters really well. So I'm planning to watch all through Daredevil Born Again, and then my husband and myself and my friends are going to have a discussion about it. And what I think will be really great about that discussion is that I have no problem admitting the clueless one when it comes to the comics. However, they have some knowledge when it comes to the comics, and they've read different renditions of Daredevil. So I think it'll be really great to have their perspectives within that discussion. I'm very excited about that. I don't know if too many people really care here, but I am excited to have a conversation about that. Also, I very much plan to continue on. I know I dropped the ball when it came to continuing with Vinland Saga and Pluto and finally wrapping Pluto up. I plan to, at the very least, do a season 1 review for Vinland Saga and also review the entirety of Pluto. That way, especially with Vinland Saga, we can kind of feel comfortable with, okay, we've wrapped that up, let's go ahead and move on, because I really want to talk about what happens in Vinland Saga Season 2. We also have our continuation, of course, with our Studio Ghibli, or Studio Ghibli, depending on how you say it, but we have our continuation of that series. The next 2 films that we plan to discuss would be Pompoko and Only Yesterday. These certainly seem to be some of the lesser known Ghibli films. I can't wait to watch these because I find sometimes the lesser known ones are the ones that I just go in knowing absolutely nothing, being entirely clueless, and then just allowing myself to bask in the silliness and weirdness or outlandishness that is some of their films, and sometimes the heartbreaking nature that is some of their films. I don't know what to expect because I don't know a whole lot about these, which makes me even more excited, I think, to talk about them. But if you are interested in more Ghibli content, I'll have my playlist linked. We have done at least 16 episodes, 16 or 17. I think these next 2 will be episodes 17 and 18, if I'm not mistaken. So we're coming up on finally wrapping up our watch through of all of the Ghibli films. The only one that's not a part of a formal discussion would be The Grave of the Firefly, so I did a separate individual review for that one solo, but we have gotten through so many of these. Also, I plan to do a review for all of Cowboy Bebop. This is one that I originally had planned on being something that I made content around through batches of episodes, similar to what I did for Attack on Titan and Avatar: The Last Airbender, but a few reasons for why I have decided against this. This is something that I just think is so episodic in nature that I don't know how satisfying it would be to do batch reviews. And then second, and this kind of goes hand in hand with that first statement, a lot of individuals have said that this is the kind of story that you really aren't going to get the most out of it until you've watched all of it. So I actually think by having a first impressions video and then having a review for the whole first season seems like the perfect in-between, and it seems like it serves this story the best. I haven't yet actually finished Cowboy Bebop, so I can't say with certainty if I'm going to agree with that, but given that that does seem to be a perception that is widely held by a lot of people, I do think that this seems like a nice middle ground. Okay, the next one, I am so excited about this because I have barely been able to contain myself from just starting it and going, but I prefer to start watching something when all of it is out. So, Apothecary Diaries. After season 1 of Apothecary Diaries, the more I sat on it, the more I was like, I just had such a good time with that. Mao Mao is such a phenomenal protagonist. I feel like the music and the color use, all of the imagery, it's so vibrant and lush, but then there is kind of this sinister darkness lurking beneath a lot of things, which really feeds well into this not everything is as meets the eye feeling that you have within Apothecary Diaries. And again, I know I just said it, but Mao Mao is among some of my favorite characters of all time. I have missed this character, and I know that season 2 was broken up into 2 parts and that the second part has recently started. So my plan originally was that I was going to watch through all of the first part of season 2, review and discuss that, and then jump into the second half. However, I really want to have a discussion with my friends about this because some of my friends also love this. So what the plan is currently is that I'm going to rewatch all of season 1. One of my friends is going to finish season 1, and then one of my friends is definitely watching season 2 already, but I don't know for sure if they're going to rewatch season 1 or not. But I want to have a discussion about season 1. Then I will either do a solo video for the first half of season 2, or I'll do a discussion again. We'll see, or maybe both. I don't know. But there will be probably something related to the first half of season 2. Then when all of season 2 is out and we've all had a chance to watch it, there will probably be some kind of discussion for that as well. That likely won't come out until third quarter though, depending on when everybody's able to watch through all of season 2. But the main point is there's going to be more Apothecary Diaries conversations because I love Apothecary Diaries. I love Mao Mao. I need to talk about it some more. After that, I also plan to start Jujutsu Kaisen. I don't know how much I'm going to get around to within this next quarter, but at the very least, I want to do a first impressions of this. And I'm going to try to see if this seems like the kind of story that batch reviews would be helpful. If there are arcs, that it would be good to watch a certain amount so that I can review those arcs rather than doing 5 episodes, then 5 episodes, because sometimes that can actually interrupt arcs. I don't even know if it's an arc-oriented show, but I plan to look into this a little bit more, start it, and at the very least do a first impressions. And if I really am loving it, then I can keep going, I can make more content around this, and then I can start watching more seasons of it. However, if it's not something I'm really enjoying all that much, I don't want to commit to making a lot of content because I'm not the kind of person that hate watching something or watching something just to make content around it. I want to ensure that if something doesn't really work out for me, I have no problem saying, hey, it's not you, it's me, basically, but I don't want to put something out there just because it's popular. This is part of the big 4, though. Cowboy Bebop and this were going to be the first and second quarter for the big 4. Whenever the Witch Hat Atelier anime comes out, that is part of the big 4, and then Neon Genesis is also. That will likely be a third quarter watch, and then Witch Hat Atelier, I'm guessing, is going to be a fourth quarter watch. I can't know that with certainty until I have a more concrete date for when Witch Hat Atelier's anime is going to come out. However, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but that's more involving quarters 3 and 4, hoping to start Jujutsu Kaisen in this quarter, and if I like it, I'm going to keep going with it and making more content around it. The last thing, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I just know that I have such an itch. I've had the strongest itch to rewatch Full Metal Alchemist. I miss these characters. I miss this story. I miss the action scenes. I miss how ridiculous it is. I miss how heartbreaking it is. I miss it. I miss it. I want to rewatch it. I'm going to rewatch it. I just don't know if I'm going to make content around it, and if I do, what kind of content I'm going to make around it. But I have a friend who's never checked out Full Metal Alchemist before, and he likes manga and anime. And part of me's like, do I drag him into this? I think maybe I do. I might try. I think that could be fun. But anyway, I miss Full Metal. I plan to rewatch it and maybe do something there. I don't know. The last thing I want to note has nothing to do with any specific category. It's kind of an other/fandom category. I will likely be making some kind of video here and there about Attack on Titan because, as I have told you all before, I'm not over it and I want to keep talking about it. I also might do something to do with Arcane for the exact same reasons. And then the most random of all, I don't know how much this is going to interest any of you, but I like Magic the Gathering, the card game. I thought it could be fun to show some of you some of my favorite cards, but also Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy is coming out in June, and I can't wait. I am so excited. So maybe there will be something with that also. I don't know, maybe I'll just sit and put them in some sleeves and be like, oh, look at this one. This one's so cool. Or so, I don't know. I'm just excited. I'm thrilled. I cannot wait. I have been excited ever since they announced it. So I probably might do something with that. We'll see. I do want to note, upload schedule wise, my goal, just because I've had a lot of other things pop up and I've had almost like part-time work off screen that I've been doing. And so it's made it a little bit more difficult to post as often on this channel as I was posting last year. But my goal is going to be to alternate between 1 video a week and then 2 videos and then 1 and then 2. And every now and then if I can up it so it's 2 videos on a week where there's only 1, or maybe even consistently do 2 videos a week, then I'll aim for that. But I don't want to promise something and then not be able to deliver. So my goal for now, as I said, 1 and then 2, 1 and then 2, and just so on and so on. That's it though for some plans for the second quarter of the year. Let me know if you have any suggestions, if there's any kind of content that you feel like would be really fun, if you have any advice when it comes to any of the things that I'm going to be jumping into for the first time. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Bye.